everybody, my name is Gedkituo122 and welcome back to Pokemon Fire Red. Last time, we finished up our business in Celadon City by taking on Erica, the 4th gym leader. This time, we're gonna continue backwards. We are not gonna go to what lies west of Celadon City, because while there are some new stuff, there is also a certain matter that we need to take care of for our relative convenience, and that is the matter of the one thing in Lavender Town I did not address. So this time we're going to go back to Lavender Town and we are going to take on the Pokémon Tower. With the Silph Scope in hand, we are now properly equipped to deal with what lies inside. Alright, we once again find ourselves in Lavender Town, and we see here, Pokémon Tower, become the spirits of Pokémon. There's a lot that we need to do here and a lot of ground that we need to cover. So nowhere to start, but the beginning. Alright, let's see. I came to pray for my dearly departed Clefairy. I'm awash in tears. What do you have to say, receptionist lady? Pokémon Tower was erected in the memory of Pokémon that died. I'm a channeler. There are spirits up to mischief. I sense them high in the tower. Yeah, so this is actually one of the only times where Pokemon have flat out addressed the fact that Pokemon do in fact die and have limited lifespans, either because of aging or because, in this game specifically, Team Rocket, because it is very heavily implied that they kill Pokemon. Do you come to pay respects, or did you come to pay respects? Bless your Pokemon-loving heart, son. I want that. I want that on a t-shirt. Bless your Pokemon-loving heart. My Growlithe, why did you die? Oh, hi, Sheldon. Hey, Griffin, what brings you here? Is your Pokemon dead? Hey, it's alive! I can at least make him faint. Let's go! So, the weird thing about that specific dialogue is that it is subtly, though not explicitly stated, that one of Sheldon's Pokemon may have died? And some people theorize that it is the Raticate that Sheldon had, because from this point forward, you will not see him use that in battle. Anyway, he had a Pidgeotto. That was a thing that he used for about 2 seconds. Next up, he is sending out Gyarados. This is a new Pokemon that he's added to his crew. It has the ability Intimidate, though it's not very helpful against Raitoshi because of Thunderbolt in its entirety. But do be careful, because it is decently powerful, despite being quad weak to electric-type attacks. Okay, now that he actually has Pokemon that isn't weak to electricity, let's switch out to Gullywash. Once again, another of his Pokemon happens to know Intimidate. Oop. Oop. And now he has Ivysaur ready to go, so I'm going to switch to Searcher. As you can see, my Pokemon are just absolutely destroying his. My Pokemon are slightly over-leveled, but that is the consequence of only using 4 Pokemon at the immediate moment. That will change later on, but for the time being, we're just going to be using these 4 until my last 2 Pokemon finally come into play. Don't worry, they're coming. Fret not. But I have work to do to get the last 2, and unfortunately, I'm just not quite where I need to be in order to get them. Alright, there's that. Thank you, Searcher, for staying awake relatively... well, staying asleep relatively free. Ooh, Searcher is trying to learn Flame Wheel. That is a better move for Searcher to know than Ember. It has better power and the same accuracy, plus it can inflict a burn. So I think for the time being, we're going to get rid of Ember and replace it with Flame Wheel. And the last Pokemon is Kadabra. And now I'm out of Suture. Take care of this last one. I know it can do it. It's 10 levels higher. And still surprisingly slower. But this takedown ought to do it. There we go. What? You stinker. I took it easy on you too. Are you kidding me, dude? My Pokemon were all 10 levels higher than you. How's your Pokédex coming? I just caught a Cubone. I can't find the bigger Marowak. Where could they be? I bet there aren't any left. Well, I better get going. I got a lot to accomplish. Unlike you. Smell you later. Okay. So, what do you got to say, lady? Even we cannot identify the wayward ghosts. A Sylph Scope might be able to unmask them. Yes, so even though it is not required to get through most of this dungeon, you do need the Sylph Scope if you want to complete it. And you do need to complete it to actually progress in the story. Trust me, it is going to be required, and you'll understand why very shortly. Now, as with a lot of dungeons, there are a lot of trainers here. And like other dungeons, there are new Pokemon to catch as well. And so I'm going to take this time to run through a lot of the trainers and fight them all with my Pokemon. But I'm going to speed up the footage a bit so I can cover the two Pokemon that we need to talk about. So we're going to start with her and we're going to move on. Girl. Great commentary. Okay, so getting into our Pokemon that we can catch here, and actually shown by the first trainer that I encountered, Ghastly. Now, Ghastly and its evolutions Haunter and Gengar are the only ghost Pokemon that you're going to be able to get in the game. Or at the very least until the end of the main story. So if you want ghost Pokemon, you're going to have to get them in this specific area, and you're going to have to work with these specific Pokemon. But that's not a bad thing. But do know that none of them are pure ghost type. All of them are ghost poison type. Like a lot of Pokemon, there are a lot of cases of Pokemon being a subtype. The nice thing about Ghastly is that it is coming with the ability Levitate, which actually gets rid of one of its biggest weaknesses in the form of ground types. So if you were worried about being a poison type and being weak to ground type attacks, don't fret. It's actually not that bad to deal with in that regard. Not to mention, ghost Pokemon are innately immune to both normal and fighting attacks, so there's a lot of nice stuff to help Ghastly out. Now, even though that all seems good, Ghastly and Haunter have relatively weak stats. They're not horrible, and if you know how to work with them, they can definitely be helpful, but between the movesets and lackluster stats, it's very difficult to raise in some cases. And I bring this up especially because even though its evolution Gengar is very powerful with really good speed and really good special attack stats, not only is it going to need TMs in order to take full advantage of its potential, but like a lot of Pokemon, you cannot obtain Gengar without trading a Haunter. We saw this brought up briefly while we were in the Celadon department store and we were seeing those two kids trade a trade a Haunter. If you really want this Pokemon, great. But Haunter is a lot more difficult to work with as a standalone Pokemon than, say, Kadabra. So I would really only recommend going for this if you really do have the ability to trade. But don't be fooled. If you can get Gengar, it's totally worth it. Now, before I move on to the next Pokemon, there is one thing to make note of in this place. If you do plan to catch a Ghastly, I would recommend trying to get a Ghastly that's level 15 or lower. And that may seem counterintuitive because in a lot of cases I would recommend getting the highest level Pokemon. But if you get a Ghastly that's level 15 or lower, then it will have the move Hypnosis, which combined with a certain other move later that we will get from a certain tutor, can be a devastating combination with it. So just keep that in mind. Now, as for the next Pokemon that you can get, Cubone, which is a horrible thing that you can get Cubone in this specific place. Very small ground Pokemon, but it does have a lot of kick to it. It's somewhat rare, and it's a little difficult to catch, but if you can get it, it will be very rewarding, and it will be totally worth your time. First of all, it will learn the moves Bone Club and Bone Moray, and they are excellent moves to have it learn. Bone Club is a single hit move with base 65 power that has a 10% chance of making the target flinch. And a base 65 power ground move may not seem that impressive, but keep in mind that Dig is base 60, so already you're getting something that is better than Dig and does not require a turn to charge. But more importantly is the move Bone Moray. It is slightly weaker than Bone Club, but what makes this particular move good is that Bone Moray hits twice. So while it is base 50 power, it's essentially base 100 power. Not to mention the boost that you get from it being a same type attack bonus, which already makes it base 75 power twice. Now, as far as its evolved form Marowak is concerned, while you are not able to obtain this Pokemon in here, for reasons that will become apparent later on, it's still a pretty good Pokemon. While it doesn't get all that much faster, it does get pretty decent attack and really good defenses. The other nice thing about Cubone and Marowak is that it can learn quite a few TMs. It has a very good TM move pool in that specific regard, so even if you don't want to use it for normal type move purposes, it could still be a pretty good addition to your team regardless. Just keep in mind that some of its stats are great, other of its stats are not as great. But if you can make it work, it can be an excellent addition to your team. I would definitely recommend this Pokemon if you want a ground type, but for some reason Nidoking and Nidoqueen did not agree with you, because they function pretty similarly to each other otherwise. Plus, Marowak does not have the poison subtype, so if that is what was turning you off from having Nidoking or Nidoqueen, don't worry about it. Just a pure ground type, no quad weaknesses, no poison type, just pure ground and pure power. Okay, now the commentary is pretty much over. We've gotten to the, I believe, the 4th floor of the tower. As you saw during the montage, I was able to catch both a Ghastly and a Cubone. So the only Pokemon that we are explicitly missing is a Haunter. You don't necessarily need to catch a Haunter here, but you are able to get it 15% of the time. So it's not terribly difficult to find. Now, the one thing that you want to make note of is this wild Pokemon encounter. Okay, now seriously, the thing you want to make note of is this particular space. Enter the Purified Zone and Protected Zone. Griffith's Pokemon were fully healed. Stepping into this specific zone while you have Pokemon taking damage will fully heal all of your Pokemon. As for the item that we just got, Cleanse Tag. Item to be held by a Pokemon. It repels wild Pokemon if the holder is first in the party. It's basically infinite repel as long as the Pokemon that you're holding is an equal or higher level than the Pokemon that you would encounter. Now that we've actually dealt with the commentary, I can actually start talking about the Pokemon here itself. Pretty much everyone here uses either Ghastlys or Cubones. There's not a whole lot of variety in terms of what you can do here. I've pretty much just been using Bites to deal with these Pokemon over and over, as you've probably noticed during the montage. Really, truly, there is nothing to these trainers, but that's also part of the deal of being overleveled. Found a nugget. Very nice. Ugh. Another day, another Ghastly. And another one that's intimidated by, well, my intimidation. Woo! I don't know why, but the Channelers and Hex Girls are like the weirdest trainers ever. Not just because, you know, they're generally weird by essentially all being possessed by ghosts, but the Hex Girl design, especially the one from X and Y, has gotten a very weird amount of attention on the internet, and for the life of me, I don't understand why. But hey, whatever. Give me your all. Seriously, these people are just absolutely crazy. Ooh, first instance of us seeing a Haunter. One of the things I really like about the Haunter sprite in this game is that its right hand has like the red aura around it. You don't always see that with Haunter. And so I appreciate whenever they do kind of that extra little detail to make certain Pokemon all the more intimidating looking. Okay. That takes care of all the Pokemon trainers in this floor. There's still a little ways to go, but we are getting relatively close to the top. But still a lot of trainers left to go. What do we have here? Found it 1x accuracy. Not the most helpful thing in the world, but hey, it's something. What did Datsprite get? Chesto Berry. Okay. God bless. Give me blood. Oh my god. That would never, ever fly in a Pokemon game today. I don't care if she is possessed by a ghost or a demon or what have you. That would not fly today. Can't just have your Hex Girl saying, give me blood. Yeah, Searcher is just absolutely dominating. It has one dark move, but God bless, it knows how to use it. Chompity-chomp, chompity-chomp is all I have to say to you, demonic ghosts. Back to the pit you go. Alright, I think, in all honesty, I need to switch out to Raitoshi, because every single one of my Pokemon I'm actually using is level 33 except for Raitoshi. It's actually fallen behind again. So, we're gonna give Raitoshi some time to a little time to shine here in the dorkness, even if just briefly. Alright, Raitoshi has grown to level 30. Beautiful. Ugh. Ah! Where do they come up with like the weird nonsense that they say? Because some things are like, you know, oh, give me blood, or show me what you got. Other times it's just random gibberish. Okay. Something fell out. Okay. Alright, well. Alright, found another rare candy. Beautiful. Now, before we continue on, I'm going to take just a couple minutes to try to get myself a Haunter, just to save myself some grief later. Okay, seriously, I've been at this for a few minutes now, and I find a Cubone which has a lower spawn rate than Haunter. What is going on? Two Cubones in a row before I find a Haunter. 15% my Arceus. This is ridiculous. Three in a row. 3 Cubones in a row. You've got to be kidding me. Oh my god. I've now found 4 Cubones since I said I was going to try to find Haunter. What is going on? I cannot find Haunter. Finally! God bless! That took 12 minutes! Thank God for Editor Griffin, am I right? Okay. So, Curse is an interesting move. It halves the user's HP, But then every turn, Raitoshi will lose a quarter of its HP. Curse, for one thing, does make it slightly easier to catch Haunter. But what's interesting about Curse is that it actually has an entirely different effect if any Pokemon other than a Ghost Pokemon uses it. Instead of doing what I just described earlier, any Pokemon that's not a Ghost type that uses Curse will instead increase their attack and defense by 1 stage each, but then decrease their speed by 1 stage. And it's actually one of the only moves that is considered a question mark type. A type that is not really affiliated with any specific Pokemon. There is no such thing as a question mark type. And in most Pokemon games at this point in the franchise, there really aren't any question mark type moves left. There we go. Haunter was caught. Finally. Haunter, the gas Pokemon. If you get the feeling of being watched in darkness when nobody's around, Haunter is there. I'm not going to give a nickname to any of the Pokemon that I caught here, but if you want to recommend a nickname in the comments, feel free to do so, as always. Okay, so we're about to get to this specific point in the tower. Before we proceed onward, I would highly recommend having a Pokemon up front that is good against ground-type Pokemon. You'll understand why in just a moment. Begone, intruders. The ghost appeared. Silphscope unveiled the ghost's identity. The ghost was Marowak. Now, this female Marowak, despite how it seems at first, it is a spirit, and as such, it is not capable of being captured. So all we can really do is fight it. But that's why you need the Silphscope in order to complete this dungeon, because Marowak will not show its true form, nor will it let you fight it properly, unless you have the Silphscope and have the ability to identify it. Without the ability to identify it, none of your attacks would even land the mark. Oh boy. Yeah, remember when I said Bone Moraine was a really good attack? I meant it. It's really good. Sorry to do it to you, Marowak. The ghost was the restless spirit of Cubone's mother. The mother's spirit was calmed. It departed to the afterlife. Now, one thing I will give to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee over this game is that they handle the Marowak encounter much better, because you actually have a good visual for Cubone saying goodbye to its mother, and it was actually really touching. So, today you get one, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. You get one. I'm gonna go heal. Okay, I put the cleanse tag on Gullywash before I went to go heal, and while it definitely dealt with most of the Pokemon, apparently did not deal with all of them. Now, just because we've made it to the top does not mean that we're done here. As you can see, there are more Team Rocket grunts. What do you want? Why are you here? I could be asking you the same question, buddy. What are you doing here? Zubat, as far as the eye can see. I definitely see how you got to the top, but now you face me. Was that a poem? That might have been a poem. Ooh, Golbat. I believe this is our first encounter with a proper Golbat. Yes, even Team Rocket grunts will use Golbat, but of course they will never use Crobat, because no one can use Crobat in this game. I give up. I'm not going to forget this. What are you guys trying to do? This old guy marched right up to our hideout. Then he starts ranting about how Team Rocket's abusing Pokemon. So we're just talking it over as adults. Are you an adult? You look like you're like... You don't look older than 16. I don't know. How old are the Rocket Grunts? I can definitely believe the premise that they're adults, but at the same time, are they? Alright, I'm gonna keep Raitoshi in as long as I can because again, Raitoshi is falling a little bit behind in terms of level, but that does not mean it's falling behind in terms of its viability, especially with it being evolved and knowing Thunderbolt and just blasting through everything. Oh my god, come on! I have not gotten lucky with the confusion. Just every time, it's just one bit of confusion after the other. Oh my god, Raitoshi, please! Thank you! Seriously, that's all it took. Please, no more! Pokemon are only good for making money. Why not use them? You stay out of our business. Okay, I've mostly healed Raitoshi up, so let's deal with this last guy here. You're not saving anyone, kid. But I have to save the old man. He needs to give me things. Critical hit. Thunderbolt on a Zubat did not stand a chance, as always. Yeah, this was like the easiest battle of my life. Raitoshi just kept spamming the Thunderbolt until everything went down. Don't fight us, Rockets! You're not getting away with this! Mr. Fuji. Huh? You came to save me? Thank you, but I came here of my own free will. I came to calm the spirit of Cubone's mother. I think Marowak's spirit has finally left us. I must thank you for your kind concern. Follow me to my home, Pokemon House, at the foot of this tower. And fortunately, he teleports us right to there for our relative convenience. Griffin, your Pokédex quest is one that requires strong dedication. Without deep love for Pokemon, your quest may fail. I'm not sure if this will help you, but I'd like you to have it. Griffin received a Pokeflute from Mr. Fuji. Upon hearing the Pokeflute, sleeping Pokemon will spring awake. Try using it on Pokemon that are sleeping obstacles. Gee, I wonder if we know any Pokemon like that. Okay, but all kidding aside, I believe that will do for this episode. We went back to Lavender Town, we took care of the Pokemon Tower dungeon, and we got ourselves a Pokeflute, and saving Mr. Fuji in the process. So, next time on Pokemon Fire Red, we're going to continue on, and we're going to go back to Celadon City and move past it in order to see what lies west. See you guys then.